Since now you understand that setting the right goal, that's something that you really want bad enough, is key to success, let's talk about how you can set the right goal. And life has many missed goals, and missed goals are extremely costly. Let's say you spend 6 months, year, 5 years, 10 years pursuing something that's not maybe the optimal thing for you to pursue. That's a big loss that you just cannot get back. So guarding yourself against missed goals should be very high on your priority list when it comes to your mindset and how you approach things. So the challenge today is that everyone and everything and every organization wants us to do what they need us to do. It might be something like a company might try to force us, but it's also something like people sending you messages and they want you to answer those messages. And sure, you'll answer. It will take you a second, but that second is not time spent getting you to your goals. So everyone and everything pull you away, and you need to have that discipline to stay on point and pursue what you need to pursue. And there's literally trillions and trillions of dollars spent on all kinds of brainwash, all kinds of ads. You should eat this food, don't eat that food, travel here, don't travel there, study this, don't study that. Everyone and everything is making an effort to pull you towards something that they need. And your goal should be to identify your main goals in life. And self-awareness is one of the few tools and hopes that all of us have to really identify, hey, what's really important for me? And this starts from a relatively young age, and it just goes on for the rest of your life. So let's talk about how to identify your true goals. Not goals that somebody gives you, but your true ones. And it's definitely a lifelong lifestyle adjustment and a mindset adjustment. And also, one thing that makes it tricky is that your goals when you're 10 are different than your goals when you're 20, then you're 30, and you're 40, and you're 50. Your brain changes, your body changes, your chemistry changes, everything changes. Of course, the world around you changes. So your goals usually for most people evolve as you age. That's also a factor. So you got to catch it. It's a moving target. So you've got to monitor your train of thought all the time, learn to monitor it closer and closer, and identify and diagnose almost where you're going wrong and when and what triggers are happening. So you've got to practice this mental patience, which is the opposite of making compulsive decisions and doing compulsive actions. And it goes without saying that you've got to try to limit your TV, social media, news. All those things are pulling you away from what's best for you and sending you in all kinds of weird directions. You don't want to turn it off entirely because you want to be a person of this world and be in tune with what's happening. But you definitely don't want an incredible amount of those distractions and potential missed goals creeping in, because your defenses against them are not all that strong. The trillions of dollars that are spent are quite powerful. Now, let me give you a few things to arm yourself with, just some things to study so that you become more self-aware and stronger at it and more disciplined in it. Of course, you want to keep reading and be a lifelong learner. In my case, now this worked only for me. Other things might work for you, but for me, what really helped me is I kept reading philosophy, literature, humanities, some self-help books, not self-help like I'm crazy, help me, but self-help like how to improve focus, how to improve motivation. Things like that are sometimes good, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend sticking with one thing, like only philosophy, only humanities. You want to explore different things because you never know what you might discover. So you want to experience more in different mediums of art. When I say art, it can be literature, it can be poetry, it can be music, it can be visual art, it can be dance, it could be something else. Different mediums will make you a more rounded individual, which in my opinion is the true education, because a lot of education focuses on a vocation, just learning a skill, like computer programming. You learn computer programming, you've got a skill, you've got a job. People say you're educated because you can have a career, but are you a well-rounded individual? To me, that's the true value, and that's the true definition of education, or maybe one of the main components of a true education, not the entirety of it. And you also want to have mentally explorative and meditative experiences. So meditation itself is meditative. Sometimes for some people, going and being in nature is meditative. Sometimes walking by yourself without headphones and without listening to things, but like literally with your thoughts in nature calmly. Sometimes when your mind is calm, it still works in the background and it's kind of working in your behalf on the big challenges that you have. And sometimes walking and being in nature actually helps for good ideas and directions in life to float up. Whereas if you have all the daily distractions, they don't get to come up to the surface. So in the end, what you want to do is become comfortable alone with your thoughts. And if you do discover like, hey, I'm having a missed goal, I've made a mistake, don't make more mistakes on top of it. Don't be afraid to reverse course or adjust or course correct in your life and in your goals, because that was the whole idea of being self-aware, so that you can find more accurate goals for yourself. So if you've done all this and if you've made yourself over time more self-aware and your goal is still to accumulate wealth, the next step is to make sure that the way you plan to get there really invokes your intrinsic motivation. Really, 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 you have to want it. That's Napoleon Hill's principle number 1. And that means intrinsic motivation. Like every day when you wake up, that's what you want. Don't confuse that with if you're financially stressed and every day you wake up, you're thinking to yourself, how do I solve my financial stress? How do I make my next dollar? Don't confuse that with true intrinsic motivation towards accumulating wealth. If you're stressed, what you're feeling is the need to remove stress. Once you remove stress and make enough money, that disappears actually. So once you say to yourself, yes, my goal is to either achieve wealth or another goal that you might pick, then you have to decide on very big singular goals. And so what we're going to touch on here is this field of goal setting, picking very big, hard to attain, very few singular goals, either one goal or very few goals, but big ones. And then either people say write them down or like literally burn it in your brain. And if it's really intrinsically motivated, it's already burned in your brain. It's already kind of like there. Can't get rid of it. It's bugging you all the time. And then because it's your major goal, it's something you've consciously decided that you want, you've got to structure everything in your life to achieve that goal. If something in your life isn't achieving that goal, you're going to have to remove it or minimize it or do something. And I know you're going to want to do a lot of things, but there's a matter of discipline. And some things you're going to have to get rid of so that you make more time and more room to do the things that get you closer to those goals, which in this case will be accumulating wealth. And if you're not willing to sacrifice and to remove the things that don't get you closer to those goals, then that means you actually don't want it bad enough. And if you really don't want it that bad, then you didn't want it. So then you have to go back to the drawing board and really find something that you truly, truly want. And then you restructure your life towards achieving that. And it's got to be almost singular because you've got to put all your effort into it, because the big goals, they are super hard to achieve. And you're going to have to really dig deep and put all your effort into it to get there. But once you've done all this, you have the foundation to get there.